Hey everybody, Richard S. back with another video for the VC. This was an unintended take 5 because I was pulling music for another production I was kind of trying to put together and found a bunch of albums. I pulled one out and I went, ooh, that's interesting, and this one's interesting, and this one's interesting. And I came up with 5 albums that still fit within a theme. And it turned out that all 5 were critically acclaimed albums. Either they got really great reviews or they have a loyal cult following. That they're not all that widely known. So I haven't seen them on the VC too much, or you don't hear about them too much. But they're widely loved. Go figure. So the first one is a Welsh band called Mclusky. This is their debut. Mclusky Do Dallas, kind of a take on the film name of similar vein. This is a post-hardcore album. It's really fun, but it's very intense. A lot of tongue-in-cheek lyrics, a lot of just sonic punk blast songs that last like under 2 minutes or 2 minutes and then just a little bit. So a lot of songs on one album, but when your album starts with a song called Lightsaber Sucking Blues, you know you're in for a good time. This album is a lot of fun, produced by Steve Albini. Who knew? But again, critically acclaimed. Everybody seems to really get into this if they're into post-hardcore, war grade punk. And it's really angular and fun, but I don't see this on the VC too much. I don't think I've ever seen this one on the VC other than mine. I got this in Record Store Day of 2012, but I had this on CD before that, so I knew about this album, loved it. I have a lot of their stuff, but I don't see this one too much. So if you're into post-hardcore punk, you might want to check out Mclusky Does Dallas. What's the other one I found? This is from Lamb Chop. I've seen this once or twice on the VC maybe. But this is Nixon. Considered like one of the most influential alt country albums ever. Alt country being, they're based out of Nashville, so they kind of took country and turned it on its head. And created some really interesting instrumental landscapes with Kurt Wagner, who has a very interesting voice. So he does a lot of falsetto throughout this album, not all the time, but it's kind of interspersed with song speak, singing, the falsetto, beautiful instrumentation. It makes for a really atmospheric record. It's certainly a beautiful album. Definitely a player from start to finish. So Lamb Chop, this came out in 2000, so it's over 20 years old. Highly acclaimed, but I don't see this too much on the VC. Is this one you have? How about this one, Jets to Brazil? I had read about this years ago and I really wanted to look into it. I picked this up probably maybe 10 years ago, and this got released in 1998. Had never heard of Jets from Brazil. You have to listen to this. It's amazing. It's fantastic. It is amazing. It is fantastic. This is like a grown-up version of Green Day. So it has the punk emo feel, but the songs are better crafted. They're just great, lyrically dense, storytelling type song, versus like your punk blast of your typical Green Day type songs, but they're like 5.5 minutes long, every song on the album. So this is Orange Rhyming Dictionary by Jets to Brazil. Why can't I remember that? I don't know. Fascinating album, but yeah, it's like a grown-up Green Day. This came from the sort of the dregs of when Jawbreaker, another critically acclaimed band, broke up and formed into members of the band formed Jets to Brazil. So great album, another one you might want to check out. Anyone heard of Uncle Tupelo's? No Depression. This is a fantastic album. I think I heard this like in passing, just looking through. Um, I probably saw the band's name and went, "What is this all about?" Looked into it. This is great. This is another sort of alt country album, but deemed the most important alt country album of like all time. I consider it sort of Americana gone rogue because the instrumentation on here is just fascinating. They just another band that kind of took country and flipped it around. Um, the title "No Depression" is they did a cover of the Carter Family song from the 30s. So it's really an interesting take on country and storytelling. And yeah, Uncle Tupelo, check this one out. The last one I found is probably the most acclaimed one from 1998. This is Neutral Milk Hotels, Aeroplane, excuse me, Aeroplane Over the Sea. I wanted to say Across the Sea, not Aeroplane Over the Sea. I love the album cover. It's just fascinating. It's probably a whole story behind the artwork. This is their second and last album. But it became a classic not because of its acclaim, because it was pretty panned heavily by the press. Interestingly, it was this was recorded as a sort of lo-fi, compressed, distorted instrumentation with vocal effects and pedals, but it's still a lo-fi-ish album, if that makes any sense at all. But it was purposely designed that way, and I think the press kind of took it and go, wow, this recording is really muddy, and kind of doesn't say, but it creates an atmosphere that's fairly claustrophobic. It's a really interesting album. Considered one of the greatest indie rock albums of all time, but you don't see it too much on the VC, or at least I haven't. Fascinating thing about this is the instruments. Your typical, guitar, drums, throw in some horns. How about a singing saw? How about just any unconventional instruments? And they've thrown them on here, so you're really going, ooh, what was that? That was really interesting how they incorporated it into the album. So, another, this is an interesting little factoid. Neutral Milk Hotel kind of broke up because as this album got bigger, Jeff Mangum, the lead singer, got kind of, wigged out over the attention the band was getting and kind of went into reclusion. So it kind of folded the band essentially. But another fascinating album, but I don't see this on the VC too much. And thinking about it with those 5 albums, one of the things I kind of noticed was that they're not immediately accessible albums. They're albums you have to kind of listen to, take time, appreciate, listen again. Some of those albums, Neutral Milk Hotel is one that took me a long time to get into. Put it away, would come back to it and going, yeah, this is hard. Today, playing it, it clicked a little bit more, and that's probably after having owned it for about 10 years. So go figure. They're not immediately accessible albums, they're kind of niche genres like alt country. If you're not into country, but you're interested in music that kind of deviates from the norm, some of these might be up your alley. But they're widely loved albums. They're just not widely known albums. So, yeah, but some of them are some of the best representations of their genre. What are your thoughts? Give me some comments about what your thoughts are. And if you have any of these albums, what are your thoughts on those? Are there any other albums out there that are similar? That are critically acclaimed, but nobody really shows them too much? But love to hear from you. All right, take care, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.